Have you ever felt like there's more to reality than what meets the eye? Like there's a deeper truth, a hidden knowledge just waiting to be discovered? If so, you might resonate with the ancient Gnostics. Today, we're rediving deep into one of the most fascinating and controversial concepts from Gnosticism, the threefold classification of humanity. We're talking about the pneumatics, the psychics, and the hylics. So, what is Gnosticism? In a nutshell, it's a collection of ancient spiritual and philosophical systems that flourished in the first few centuries AD. The word Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, which means knowledge. But this isn't just any knowledge. It's a special, intuitive, and experiential knowledge of the divine. Gnostics believed that the material world we live in is not our true home. They saw it as a flawed creation, a sort of prison crafted by a lesser, ignorant deity called the demiurge. Our true origin, they taught, is a transcendent, spiritual realm of pure light, known as the pleroma. Within each of us, or at least some of us, is a divine spark, a fragment of this divine light that has fallen into the material world and become trapped in a physical body. The ultimate goal of life, for a Gnostic, is to awaken this divine spark, achieve gnosis, and liberate it from its material prison to return to the pleroma. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Gnostics didn't believe everyone was on the same spiritual footing. They proposed a spiritual hierarchy, a classification of humanity into three distinct types, based on their essential nature and their capacity for salvation. These three types are the hylics, the psychics, and the pneumatics. Let's start at the bottom of this spiritual ladder with the hylics. The term hylic comes from the Greek word hyle, meaning matter or substance. As the name suggests, hylics are seen as being completely bound to the material world. They are the people who live for sensory pleasure, material possessions, and worldly power. Their consciousness is entirely focused on the physical realm. They eat, they sleep, they work, they chase after wealth and fame, and that's the extent of their reality. From a Gnostic perspective, hylics are spiritually asleep. They have no awareness of the divine spark within or the spiritual realm beyond. They are completely identified with their physical bodies and their egos. They don't question the nature of reality or seek any deeper meaning. They simply accept the world as it is presented to them by their five senses. According to most Gnostic texts, hylics are considered to be unsalvageable. Because their nature is purely material, when their physical bodies die, their consciousness simply dissolves. They are part of the cosmic recycling of the material world, with no chance of returning to the divine source. It's a bleak outlook, but it's central to the Gnostic worldview. They are, in a sense, creations of the demiurge, fully belonging to his material kingdom. Moving up the ladder, we find the psychics. The word psychic comes from the Greek psyche, which means soul. These are the people of soul, and they represent the middle ground. Unlike the hylics, psychics do have a spiritual dimension, a soul. They're not purely material beings. This group is often associated with the mainstream believers of the time, the members of the Orthodox Church. Psychics have a capacity for faith and belief. They can follow moral laws, practice piety, and strive for a virtuous life. They have an inkling that there's something more than just the material world. They might believe in a God, an afterlife, and a system of reward and punishment. However, their understanding is based on faith and dogma, not on direct, experiential gnosis. They worship the demiurge, the creator God of the Old Testament, believing him to be the ultimate, true God. They follow his laws and hope for a salvation that is granted by him based on their good works and faith. The key difference here is the source of their salvation. For psychics, salvation is not guaranteed. It depends on their choices. They have free will. If they choose to follow the path of faith and righteousness, they can attain a form of salvation, but it's a lesser salvation. They won't ascend to the pleroma, the realm of pure spirit. Instead, they might find a place in a kind of middle kingdom, an intermediate paradise ruled by the demiurge. But if they choose to live like the Hylics, focusing only on material pursuits, they risk being lost along with them. So, the psychics are in a state of flux, their ultimate destiny hanging in the balance, dependent on their belief and their actions. Finally, at the very top of the hierarchy, we have the pneumatics. Pneumatic comes from the Greek word pneuma, which means spirit. These are the spiritual elite, the Gnostics themselves. Pneumatics are defined by the divine spark, the pneuma that resides within them. They are not creations of the demiurge. They are emanations from the true, transcendent God who have fallen into the material world. The pneumatic individual feels an inherent sense of alienation from the material world. They feel like a stranger in a strange land, longing for a home they can't quite remember. This inner turmoil eventually leads them on a quest for knowledge, for gnosis. Unlike the psychic who relies on faith, the pneumatic is destined for a direct, personal awakening. Salvation for the pneumatic is not a matter of choice or good works, it's a matter of destiny. Their divine spark is like a homing beacon. Once it is awakened by gnosis, it will inevitably find its way back to the pleroma. This awakening isn't achieved through blind faith or following rules. It comes from receiving special knowledge, often from a divine messenger or a Gnostic teacher. This knowledge awakens the spark, reminding it of its true nature and origin. Once awakened, the pneumatic is no longer bound by the laws of the demiurge or the fate of the material world. Their salvation is assured. Upon death, their spirit sheds the physical body and the soul and ascends back to its source in the realm of light. So, to recap, we have three distinct paths. The Hylics, bound to matter, whose existence ends with physical death. The psychics, people of soul and faith, whose salvation depends on their choices and leads to an intermediate paradise. And the pneumatics, people of spirit, who are destined for liberation and a return to the divine fullness of the pleroma through gnosis. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds incredibly elitist and deterministic, and you're right. This is one of the most criticized aspects of Gnosticism. The idea that some people are just inherently saved, some have a choice, and others have no chance at all runs contrary to many modern and traditional religious ideas about universal love and equal opportunity for salvation. It's important to remember that these are not just literal categories of people walking around. Some scholars interpret this threefold classification in a more psychological or metaphorical way. Perhaps these three types don't represent different groups of people, but rather three potential states of consciousness that exist within every individual. From this perspective, the Hylic part of us is our purely physical, instinctual nature. The psychic part is our rational mind, our ego, and our capacity for belief and morality. And the pneumatic part is our deepest spiritual self, our connection to the divine. The spiritual journey, then, is not about being born into the right category, but about transcending the Hylic and psychic levels of our own consciousness to awaken the pneumatic spark within. It's a journey from being dominated by matter and belief to achieving direct spiritual knowledge. This interpretation makes the Gnostic framework feel less like a rigid caste system and more like a map of spiritual development, a path of inner alchemy to transform our consciousness. It suggests that the potential for gnosis for awakening might be present in everyone, waiting to be discovered. This Gnostic worldview, with its radical dualism, its secret knowledge, and its spiritual hierarchy, was deeply threatening to the emerging Orthodox Church. It's one of the main reasons why Gnostic texts were suppressed and why they were branded as heretics. But, despite centuries of suppression, these ideas have survived, whispering of a different reality, a different path to the divine. Whether you see the Hylics, psychics, and pneumatics as literal types of people, or as stages of inner development, they offer a powerful and provocative lens through which to view the human condition. They challenge us to ask profound questions. What is our true nature? Are we merely physical beings, or is there something more? Is our destiny predetermined, or do we shape it with our choices? And what does it truly mean to be awake? The Gnostic quest for knowledge is a timeless one. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound truths are not found in ancient scriptures or grand cathedrals, but in the quiet depths of our own consciousness, in the awakening of the divine spark within. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of Gnostic thought. If you found this exploration fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's hidden wisdom. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you see these categories in the world around you or within yourself? Let's continue the conversation. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking. Thanks for watching.